Hello everybody. Today we're working on the design. I always call it rough seas because this is a design, an ocean type design that does not have a beach on it, and I really like to use these colors, so it's a fun, simple design. So today we're going to start with a base color of dark Prussian blue. So I already mixed my resin to this level of dark, stunning, rich blue. So I'm just gonna, this is a very quick bottom light layer. We're gonna just go ahead and put in, and I'll probably make some extras because I have extra resin, so fear not. I always have a lot of at least two projects going on at once because it's hard to keep ahead if I don't plan that way. And I hate it. I try to do at least one video a week, so I'm doing my best. So the purpose of my putting in some resin and then stretching it out throughout the bottom of the coaster is to keep each layer thin. Because I like to do multiple layers in resin, in order for the coaster not to get too thick, I like to, I make each layer thin. Now I put a little bit more in this layer, so I'm gonna stretch it out and then maybe take a little bit of it out because I want it to be more thin like this one. Start with that. So I'm going to get the heat gun and heat these up. Now I'm going to use the torch to pop the micro bubbles. Now using the torch a lot will definitely affect the life of your coaster molds. One way you can keep that from happening is to hold your torch about 3 inches above the mold, which is about this far. So I do not have the torch touching the mold or even close to touching the mold. I have it hovered about 3 inches above, if not more, and that helps. But it's still obviously a flame, and it will eventually wear down on your coaster molds. So the next step and this will be it for this layer, is to take some white. I mixed some resin, some Castin Craft into this resin, and it's only Castin Craft and clear resin mixed together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some white in here. Now, understanding that I do intend on doing 2 more layers on this, so this layer will be obscured by the layers that we put in over the top. So it doesn't have to be perfect, and you're not going to be able to see that it's white. In the end, it's going to be a deep, the blue layers that I put on over this are going to make the white look blue. So it's not, at this point, important that the white is perfect or that that you have perfect waves, because this is just going to be the underside, the part of the coaster that makes the top look three-dimensional. So I'm going to do a heat gun. And I'm going to hit it with the torch. And that's all I'm going to do today on this layer. Cover it. And we will be back tomorrow. Okay, we're back for the next layer. So our first layer hasn't fully cured. It's only been 24 hours. And as you can see, normally I find with my first layer, probably because I can't find the perfect coaster that's solid enough on the bottom, the design typically pulls in a little bit, kind of giving us, it's like a little star effect around the outer edge. But usually once that has cured, the next layer over the top has a more level surface. So that's something that I encounter, but I'm always kind of prepared or aware that it's going to do that. And that's actually one of the reasons why I started doing more than one layer in my resin coasters. So all we're going to do today is use some clear resin. We're going to make a wave. And the white is going to be a mixture of a little bit of Castin Craft and a couple drops of alcohol ink. And I've mixed up a little bit already, and it doesn't require a lot. So all we're going to do is we're going to always turn it sideways a little bit, is to make some wave-like resin stripes across the front of this. And they can be as random as you want, but I typically for this one do not fill in the coaster, just doing a couple of these waves. The next our next layer will fill in the coaster the rest of the way. Heat gun. I'm only heating the resin so that the bubbles go out. So now we're going to take our white. Then I'm going to use the heat gun on low. And I usually start at the top and just slowly push the white forward into the resin at an angle. I don't usually go over and over and over it, because the idea is to get this to the white to flow into the clear, and then it will of course fall backward a little bit, which kind of gives us the wave-like appearance that we're going for. But if you move it around too much, it'll just mix it up. So the last thing I do is I take my torch, and you can already see some of these lacing effects that have started. And I'm just going to spritz it with the torch because it helps bring more lacing up to the top. And that's it. And I have to leave it alone at this point. If I were to, maybe coming over to the edge and kind of shaping out this edge a little bit more to to what I want to see inside the coaster. But if I run the coaster through run this through any of these waves, it will mess them up. And also it's going to continue, you know, doing some movement. So this is the this is all I'm going to do for today's layer. Sorry, it's my cats back there playing. And we will be back tomorrow for the next layer. Okay, we are back, and today we are going to do the final layer before sand and prep. So what I'm going to do is I mix up a little bit of this same Prussian blue color that I have been using for this entire project, or for the very first layer of the project, and a little bit of clear resin, and then of course the mixture of Castin Craft with a couple drops of alcohol ink for my white. I'm going to pour in a thin layer of clear resin, and I'm going to I need to let it settle for a little bit, because after we did the this last layer, as you can see, it kind of leaves a little bump inside the middle. So we need to compensate for that by filling up this layer enough that that bump disappears. So sometimes we need a little bit more resin. This is the last layer, so these will still be pretty thin, even though I've put more clear in here. So I'm heat gun. So if you look really close, I mean, this layer, I'm going to talk a little bit while it settles. You can definitely see through the blue layers. You can see the blue through this wave, and it has an amazing depth to it. So it's actually pretty mesmerizing to look into. And this is our final. This will be our final layer. But honestly, you could keep going as long as you wanted to go. Until you run out of coaster space. I'm going to take a little bit of this out. I feel like it's too much. Okay. So I'm going to take a little bit of my blue, and I'm only going to put a few streaks in here like this, and that's it. And the reason is I'm going to do another white wave, but I want to give that wave some depth by adding some blue, and I'm only going to put the blue in at the top of the coaster, or what I consider to be the top of the coaster. So you can see it, you can see a little bit of the blue over the top of the white wave that's already there. But I don't plan on bringing that blue down any further than it is. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white and take a little bit of the white. I'm going to make thin, super thin streaks in the resin. And I'm gonna kind of move this one around a little bit, because usually when they touch the side of the coaster, it doesn't end well. with the design, it just doesn't look right. Okay, so I'm going to heat that up with a torch a little bit. Now, because I'm using white here, you have to be careful on how much heat that you use. I'm only putting my waves up high because I want this part of the coaster to show. I want to see that first bottom layer, the super dark blue, and then the lighter blue, and then the white wave, and then this will be a mix of the white and the blue. So now I'm going to do my heat gun on low. And I typically start at the top wave, and I push the white through the clear. Slowly, so that it has time to kind of spread through. And then I torch it. And at this point, you can leave it exactly as is, or what I like to do is I kind of like to run my spatula through it to kind of grab some of those sharp edges that don't quite look wave-like to me, and carefully move it around till I'm satisfied with how it looks. And you might be totally satisfied without doing this, so this is of course entirely preference, but I think this will give it kind of a neat effect. Now if you keep torching, so also if you have too much white, I do kind of sometimes just scoop it out until I'm happy with the end result. There, like this. And there we go. I think that looks kind of neat. So you could always add more white, but once you've pushed it like this, if you keep doing it, it's going to mesh up. If you keep torching it, you will yellow your white. So you want to keep your torch high, and you want to just barely touch over the top of it. But once you've done it, you're done. Don't keep doing it. Or you'll yellow out your white. If you do that though, in this case, just dump it out, because this is the last layer, so dump it out and start over. It'll be kind of cool. Might like what you end up with better. So that is this. So I'm going to cover these up, or finish them up, cover it, and then tomorrow I will sand and prep, and we'll put our final clear coat on and show you the end result. So I thought I would come back real quick before we do our final pictures to kind of show you what I do to the backs of coasters. I've had a couple people ask me about it, and one of the things that I don't really ever think about too much is how the back of my coasters look, because I don't do coasters in a way that when I do the coaster itself, I'm always looking at the top of the coaster, so I don't really pay too close of attention to the back. So once I'm done, and I take the tape off, there's usually a tiny little lip from the tape all around the edge. It's not sharp, but I always just kind of go through it and sand it down so it's smooth, just to prevent the possibility that anybody may ever cut their finger or hurt themselves on the back of a coaster. So the coasters are, once I take the tape off the back, I'll usually smooth down this edge. And then I use these plastic coaster backs, and I will, of course, will be putting links to everything. These are Scotch, and they actually come in multiple different brands and types and shapes. And I use the little ones because these are the ones that I actually just like the best. And one of the things is, you may find that the coaster itself does not lay flat. They have a little bit of a wobble to it. So in order to get the coaster to lay completely flat, I will put 4 to 5 of these on the bottom, and they're never in perfectly placed areas because sometimes you kind of have to compensate for the back of this coaster. So the resin tended to bends in a bow sometimes when it's curing, and you can prevent that a lot by coming in and pressing the coaster flat on your first layer while it's curing, but it doesn't always help. And in this case, there's a slight bow to the coaster. So what I'll do is I'll put 4 to 5 of these on. So we'll start with 4. And I always put them closer to the center because this part of the coaster is usually more level. And I'll put them on until when I move it, it does not move. And then if it doesn't, like this worked. So if it didn't, I would just kind of move these around until the coaster lays flat. The other thing I do is and people have asked me about these, is I ordered these little holographic stickers to put on the backs of my coasters because, I don't know, I love the rainbow, and because it's, to me, when you ask somebody what their favorite color is, there's just no answer to that question for me. And resin helps me live the most colorful life that I can live, because every day I get to look at these deep, gorgeous, gorgeous colors. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the backs of coasters, and I will talk on the smaller ones too, because I do a little bit different things on those. So these bumpers are you can find them anywhere. You can find them at Walmart, you can find them at craft stores, you can find them online. They have varying different sizes. I've also seen felt. These are just my preferred use. If you guys have something better or recommendation, let me know and we'll try it out. The other thing I like about these is you can wash the coaster and it's not, these don't stay wet. So it's instantly ready to put right back down where you're ready to go. So also, if you haven't noticed, I've started a membership on my channel, and I'm really new to technology, basically. I repel technology or feel like it. Plus, I do have a difficult time talking on my videos. So as time goes on, I am working on getting better and better about being more personable, talking to you all, and being less extroverted. So don't hesitate to ask questions or ask me to say something or do something. It's most likely because I kind of freeze up whenever it's time for me to talk. But my membership channel, or the membership on my channel, I want to do something special for the members. And what I would like to do is, you may have noticed I started doing fast motion videos, and I find those fast motion videos a little bit satisfying to watch. If I need to relax, sit down, but I'm not in the mood to craft, I'll put on the fast motion videos and just enjoy resin. So so with every new design pattern that I do, I will do a fast motion video. And what my plan is to put that fast motion video on my public YouTube, but put the actual lengthy tutorial on the member page for a week before I release it on the standard YouTube, so that all of my members have early access to my tutorials by a week, and then after that they will be access to everybody. So for every fast motion video that I release, the full tutorial will be on my membership channel, and I'm hoping that we can have fun with that and give that as a great perk. And I would also like to thank already, because I just released it, I already have new members and sponsors to my channel, and I'm extremely excited to say thank you to Suzanne, Vivian, and Penny for being the first members on my channel. And I will try and make this fun and worth the time for everybody, and thank you to my sponsors. But if you find my videos helpful and useful, you can really help me out, even if you're not a member, by simply liking the video, subscribing, and hitting the bell. And thank you, everybody, and live your best colorful life. I'll see you next time.